Graduated in '65 from high school. Then I went to work for Peerless Chain Company in Winona, Minnesota for about a year. And then I got married in April, and April 2nd, and up in Winona, Minnesota. And first mail I got was my draft notice. So I went around and I ended up enlisting in the Army for 3 years. So I went on to Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri for basic training. That was 8 weeks. So I go down there, and it was in latter part of April, I guess. Anyway, it was cold at night down there. And back then, they had in the barracks, they had these, they heated the barracks with coal. So they appointed firemen to keep the fires going all night. They had to stoke them with the coal. So I was one of those firemen. And each one of us had, I guess, 4 or 5 barracks to do, you know. I only caught it, I think, a couple times in 8 weeks, 2 or 3 times. But you had to be there, I think, 6 at night till 6 in the morning. So anyway, it's pretty hard to stay awake. About 5 in the morning, you'd be. Anyway, basic training was pretty good. I still remember my drill sergeant, Sergeant Clark. He was a staff sergeant. He was a pretty good guy. So he's probably gone by now. But anyway, I went through my 8 weeks and then got a 2-week leave after that. Went home, and my wife come down and got me, in fact, her and her girlfriend. Drove back home. Then I had to go to Fort Sam Houston for medical training for combat medic. So I went through that school. That was 8 weeks. Then they put me in operating room school for operating room technician. That was 8 weeks. So went through that. Then I went to Fort Sill, Oklahoma for OJT, working in operating rooms. So we went up there, and my wife was with me, so we rented this little apartment off post, because I was only I guess I was a PFC then. And it was really a double garage, and they changed it over to an apartment, little. And it was pretty neat. Kind of one room, and then they had a separate room for the kitchen and bathroom, and the rest was one room, you know, the living room and bedroom together, kind of. Anyway, so went through that school, and they'd put it through different things. You'd be like one day you'd be scrubbed in a couple times. I had to scrub in. You're standing right next to the doctor, handing him the instruments. You're sterile. And we got this one guy in at one time from Vietnam. He got hit by a mortar around above the knees, and it shattered the femur on I think it was the right leg. So anyway, they had to debride the wound and everything. They took the bandages off, and bandages are just green. They were just, and anyway, they were picking out the dead muscles. They were just black, putting them in specimen jars. So anyway, so they ended up with the one leg they could save, because it wasn't, I don't think it hit the bone, I guess. Saved his one leg, but the other leg, they ended up, about 3 or 4 days later, they had to bring him in again and amputate his leg. So that day, I was just transporting patients, but I peeked in I could hear the saw going in there and stuff, but I was glad I wasn't scrubbed in on that operation. But I saw hysterectomies and a lot of different operations. Because they'd have you, like one day you'd be just circulating, they call it. You're not a sterile member of the team. Like if you need something from out of the operating room, they go out and get it, or whatever, you know. And, you know, one day you'd be putting up surgery sets or whatever. And there was quite a bit to it, because you had to know anatomy, and there was about like 500 instruments you had to try to learn. I remember it was like 10 different needle holders alone, you know, to learn, and different sutures and all that stuff. And pretty hard to learn it in 8 weeks or 16 weeks. But so anyway, I went through that, and then I didn't get any orders for a long time. So they kept me, I was transporting patients and this and that. And everybody kept asking me when I was going to get orders. So finally, like 2 or 3 months went by. Finally, I get orders to go to Alaska. So then they send me up to, I guess it was out of Fort Lewis there. Anyway, a bunch of us got on a Golden Nugget jet, flew up to Alaska. So we get up to Fort Richardson, which is by Anchorage. So I'm sitting around there waiting to get processed in, and then they finally come up and they says, "No, you're not staying here. You're going to Fort Wainwright."